What's up, guys? Welcome back to the No Zone, your go-to for everything NFL. Today we're breaking down everything from Monday Night Football and all of Sunday's games, as well as just overall drama that's happening with injuries. If you guys are as excited as I am to get into this breakdown about Monday Night Football and all of Sunday's games, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to stay in the know about everything football. Alright, let's just dig in straight off with Monday Night Football. Let's start off with the Jets, and look, Aaron Rodgers did not do amazing in his first game, had a little bit of a slow start there, but the time of possession was heavily inflated for the 49ers due to them running the ball so much with Jordan Mason and Deebo Samuel, which we'll get into later. And honestly, I just don't think that this was a very good sample size of Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. Another reason why the Jets didn't succeed, you got three guys really only touching the ball with Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard. You're not going to win a game. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. They spread the ball so much between many receivers, and that's why they're so successful in their offense. And I think that the Jets need to get more guys incorporated. You got Mike Williams, you might as well throw him the ball. You got Tyler Conklin. So I think if Aaron Rodgers can get those guys the ball more, he's, number one, going to have more yards, more touchdowns. He's going to be a better player for the team overall, and I think that they're just going to end up winning more games. And let's look at the 49ers. They just ran the crap out of the ball. They ran it 40 times. They only threw the ball 29 times, which is not surprising with Kyle Shanahan's offense. It is slightly surprising considering they didn't have Christian McCaffrey, but Jordan Mason stepped in and filled that role perfectly. He had 147 yards on only 28 attempts. And of course, you also had Deebo Samuel, a very, dynamic player. He was stepping in that role as the running back, which we might see coming next week if Christian McCaffrey's out with his Achilles tendonitis, which I think he will be. And honestly, I think that the Niners, if they don't have McCaffrey, obviously it's a big loss, but Jordan Mason has proved that he's able to play in this system and be a very effective running back. All right, now let's go on to some of Sunday's games, and there is so much stuff to talk about that I am just going to highlight some of the main stuff that, really intrigues me, and I think it's going to intrigue you guys a lot. So let's start off with the Panthers versus the Saints. I really only want to talk about Bryce Young. Bryce Young is not looking good right now. He absolutely played abysmal in my opinion, and look at the PFF grades for the Panthers, and all of their linemen were actually very solid. It was just that Bryce Young wasn't able to make those decisions. And don't get me wrong, I do think that Bryce Young's a very cerebral player, and I think that he's got some skills. The issue is his physical stature. Obviously 5'10" is not ideal, and he's not really that much of a scrambler, which is going to hinder him a lot in his career. And I just really think that Bryce Young is going to need to go through his reads quicker, and he's going to need to find an advantage with his size, and I think that's just going to have to come with his speed. And honestly, if he can become a scrambler, which I don't know if it's going to happen, but if he can become someone like Kyler Murray, where we saw him rush a lot, then I think that Bryce Young is going to be able to open up a lot more opportunities for throwing the ball, and I think that that would be good for this Panthers offense overall. But honestly, for the rest of the season, I don't see the Panthers really making any noise. Next up, let's talk about the Giants and the Vikings game. I really just want to focus on the Giants here as well, and Daniel Jones. Obviously coming into this year, we knew that Daniel Jones wasn't, that great of a player based off of last season. But, Danny Dimes got paid that awful contract, in my opinion, 4 years, $160 million, I believe it was. And, you had him coming out here on Sunday. He was 22 for 42 on passing attempts, and he had 2 interceptions. And, Neighbors looked pretty solid. He got a lot of targets and, decent amount of receptions out of Daniel Jones. So, definitely a great pick for them there. But they're going to have to get a better quarterback to get this, system flowing. And obviously, they did invest in their offensive line this offseason, which, it looked all right, in my opinion. I think that, their main thing really is just Daniel Jones. And, obviously, if you watch the Hard Knocks, they were definitely considering taking a quarterback, namely Jayden Daniels, and trading up for him. And honestly, I think that they could have done that. The only issue is, you're obviously giving up so many assets. But for now, if they're stuck with Daniel Jones, they're going to have to see how to make that work in their offense, and honestly, I just don't see it working. Like the Panthers, I don't see them making any noise at all. Now, something that really shocked me this weekend was Joe Burrow's play, as well as the just Cincinnati Bengals play in general. Joe Burrow was absolutely abysmal. You had some videos of him kind of twiddling with his wrist, and obviously he did hurt his wrist last year in an injury that we've really never seen before. But I do think that Burrow's going to be okay. He did have some laser throws, really good throws. There were a couple of drop passes that definitely could have been caught for touchdowns. And, to cut Joe Burrow some slack, it's been a while since we've seen him play in an NFL game because of his injury. But, you also had T. Higgins not there, and whenever Joe Burrow, obviously was playing, but he didn't really throw the ball that much to Jamar Chase, who only had 6 receptions, something that Burrow's going to need to improve on, and overall, you can't have him throwing 164 passing yards. Like, that's just completely unacceptable if you want to win a game. And so, I mean, this next week going against the Chiefs, I think it's going to be really tough for them to, have at least a little bit of momentum just because of how bad they played this week, losing to one of the worst teams in the league in the Patriots, who did a really good job running the ball with Ramondre Stevenson. But yeah, past that, I mean, I just think that the Bengals need to figure this stuff out. I mean, they got the talent, they just need to do it, Man, this Steelers-Falcons game, there is so much to break down with it. I mean, for the Steelers, you got Justin Fields. Is he going to be the QB1? And look, I think that, once Russell Wilson comes back, he is going to slide in for that QB1 role for Fields. For Justin Fields, for Fields, we didn't really see him throw the ball a lot, which is absolutely expected. I mean, whenever I heard he was coming in, I knew he was going to rush a lot, which we saw him do. I believe he had over 50 yards rushing and only around like 150 passing yards. I don't have the stats up right now, so I can't tell you directly, but the thing with Justin Fields that I want to focus on is that you're not really going to get a lot of passing volume, and I think that they're going to struggle a lot in the red zone like we saw last Sunday with him, or with the Steelers only having 18 points, all from Chris Boswell, who made 6 field goals. And, I think that once Russell Wilson comes back, this offense is definitely going to be able to score a little bit more in the red zone and just make plays and make more explosive plays, which I think is going to allow them to be a better team overall. Looking at the Falcons, man, you just got like Kirk Cousins not doing his job at all. I mean, they gave this man a bag, 4 years, 160 or 180 million, maybe. I'm not sure. I have to look back on it, but I'm sure that a lot of you have seen the video of his feet in the pistol, where he's kind of like symmetric with his feet now instead of slanted like he was before, and this is really making him a still target, which is not good in football because you're going to get sacked, obviously, and especially with TJ Watt. I think that's why they were not able to do well, because TJ Watt could just come off the edge. Kirk Cousins is just a sitting target, and he can't throw the ball. And I mean, if the Falcons could figure out, what to do with Kirk Cousins, then I think they're going to be a good team overall. I was really happy to see Bijan Robinson getting 18 out of 21 carries from Tyler Algier, which we saw a little bit of a split there, but now I'm happy that Bijan is the official workhorse running back. Man, another game I gotta talk about both teams, the Texans and the Colts. I mean, the Texans, their offense is unbelievable. Shout out Joe Mixon, got us the dub. I'm a Texans fan, but looking at the, just overall for the Texans, right? You got Joe Mixon, Nico, Tank, Stephon Diggs, CJ Stroud. We knew that this offense was gonna be amazing. We knew that they were gonna go absolutely ballistic. But the one thing about this offense that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is that if Joe Mixon isn't having a good game, the Texans have CJ Stroud and all those receivers I just named, so they're going to be absolutely fine. If Stephon Diggs isn't doing well, you still got Nico, Tank, and Joe Mixon. And, honestly, it's just so good having so much insurance, I would say, for the Texans, because that, if one receiver's not doing well, like I just said, then you're going to be absolutely fine, and you're going to still dominate offensively like they did in this game. And, we saw CJ Stroud only having around 230 yards, and, we're accustomed to CJ Stroud throwing for over 270 yards because he had Devin Singletary in his backfield last year, who wasn't really, much of a runner. He was a good player, but nothing like Joe Mixon, and I think that we really just saw that on display in this game. Man, looking at the Colts, Anthony Richardson is here. I mean, this guy is absolutely insane. He's not a prototypical quarterback. You got a guy that's rushing for 50 plus yards. He's got, absolutely bombs of touchdowns. He had 212 yards, and the funniest part for me is he only had 9 completions, and he was under 50% accuracy. He's just an anomaly of a quarterback, and, it's not like you obviously want your quarterback to be having a better, completion percentage. And Anthony Richardson definitely did miss a lot of throws that could have helped him win this game against the Texans, especially deep downfield. And I think that he's going to have to work on his accuracies. But, man, he's got an arm, he's got legs, he's got everything you want out of a quarterback. So, honestly, the Colts, I think they got a really good pick with Richardson. For the Cardinals-Bills, I mean, let's look at the Bills. Josh Allen is absolutely the guy. He was spreading the ball out a lot. He wouldn't really have a favorite target. And, he's trying to, the one thing though is that he is trying to do everything by himself, which, sometimes has led to a lot of, issues within the Bills. Like we saw Stephon Diggs wanting to leave, and I think that that's mainly because Josh Allen was rushing the ball so much and not throwing it to him, which, Stephon Diggs is a diva, but I think every receiver is a diva in some way or shape or form. And I think that, you can't just do everything on your own. You need your team. And Yeah, but let's look at the Cardinals. I mean, Marvin Harrison, like, what's up, dude? I think that Kyler Murray, obviously didn't look his way a lot, and he only had like 4 yards receiving, I believe. So for Marvin Harrison, I really just think it comes down to playing with Kyler Murray. I think he's gonna be fine. It's only 1 week. It's his first game ever, so obviously you're going to see, a little bit of questionable things. But the Titans and Bears game, honestly, was just so funny for me. I think that the funniest moment was whenever Will Levis threw that interception and just went absolutely on his knees and, going like, oh my gosh. I don't know why. That was just so funny to me. When I first saw it, I started laughing so hard, and I can't stop laughing after seeing it. That's really it for the Titans. I mean, their offense was really bad. Levis only had 127 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. Pollard looked all right. But looking at the Bears, man, I mean, Caleb Williams, 93 passing yards as the first overall pick. I mean, yes, he did get the win, but come on, let's put that was all towards Simone Biles' husband, Jonathan Owens, I believe that's his name, and the Bears defense. They just dominated this game. And, I do have a lot of question marks around Caleb Williams just because you have so many weapons with DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. I mean, those are some guys that are big names and some really good receivers. And so, you definitely are a little bit questioning, how is he going to do? I mean, this is his first game, so just like Marvin Harrison, I don't want to put too much emphasis on it, but it's definitely a little bit concerning, in my opinion, just because he only had 93 passing yards, which is, way below what everyone expected him to do. Man, the Dolphins versus Jags, I was really happy the Dolphins put away with this just because, obviously I'm a Texans fan, and I need all of the AFC South teams to lose so that we can make the playoffs. But shout out to the Dolphins. They did have a slow start overall, but, they got back into it with their defense. I think that's really what carried them this game. And, Tyreek Hill obviously got arrested before the game. And so he did go off, though. He had 120 receiving yards and a touchdown, which is something insane. I mean, Tyreek Hill just looks like one of the most consistent receivers who's going to get you 100 yards at least per game. It's kind of crazy. But looking around the offense, you really just had Tyreek, Waddle, and Achane getting most of this passing. And, obviously, going into injuries, Achane is very questionable for this week. I don't think he's going to play. And you also have Mostert, who's probably not going to play either. So there's definitely a lot of question marks around what they're going to do with running back, whether it's going to be Jeff Wilson or Jalen Wright starting on Thursday night against the Bills. But overall, I think that the Dolphins are a pretty good team. They definitely are a contender. They got that explosive offense we knew they were going to have coming into the year. And I just think that they played really well this game. Man, looking at the Jags, I just don't know what T-Law is doing. 162 yards with 1 touchdown. He's just never able to get the ball moving, which is a big concern. You had Evan Ingram getting 1 reception. Christian Kirk did not get a lot of receptions either. You had Brian Thomas getting the most of the load from this offense. You also got Travis Etienne getting split carries with Tank Bigsby, which, obviously Tank Bigsby did have a lot of stuff coming in from training camp that he was going to be, involved in the offense. But, I mean, come on now. Travis Etienne is such a good running back, and, this is just unexpected. I feel like I'm thinking of this more as, a fantasy thing. Dang it. I thought Etienne was going to be really good this year. I don't have him on my fantasy teams, but I thought he was going to be a very good running back, so it sucks to see him splitting backfield with Tank Bigsby. But yes, Trevor Lawrence needs to get this figured out immediately. I don't know what's going on there, but if they can get that figured out, then they're going to be a lot better off. Broncos Seahawks, I mean, there's not really much to talk about here. Bo Nix, definitely kind of what I expected. 138 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. He did have a rushing touchdown, which is actually pretty cool. He did a little spin move into a touchdown. I mean that's pretty cool in my opinion, especially for a rookie quarterback. But obviously, don't hold him against playing horrible first game as a rookie QB. No one expected him to go out there and be amazing. His offense isn't that good. For the Broncos overall, they need to figure out how they can get this backfield to 2 running backs instead of 3. That's, just way too much randomness, in my opinion. You need some structure. And, looking at Kenneth Walker, he had a really good game. 103 yards, 1 touchdown. Very good play overall. Did have a kind of a split role with Charbonnet, but, Kenneth Walker got more snaps. I'm kind of excited to see how the Seahawks season go this year because I feel like they're always that team that's either going to go really, really good or it's going to go or really bad. You just really never know. And for the Broncos, just got to figure out Bo Nix. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about the Broncos right now. Looking at the Raiders and the Chargers, I mean, we got Gardner Minshew coming in, 257 yards, 1 tutty, 1 interception. I mean, they only scored 10 points. They lost by 16 points, I believe. So definitely didn't help them win the game, but I thought that Minshew looked pretty solid. I do like Minshew as a quarterback. I think that he's a very underrated player. He was really good for the Colts last year, helped them almost make the playoffs. Looking at, the Chargers side of thing, I really want to dive deep into here with Justin Herbert. So Herbert only 144 yards and a touchdown. Obviously can improve there, and I think that he will, first game with the new coach, with Jim Harbaugh. So I think that that's going to get, resolved over time. J.K. Dobbins did really, really well. Wonder how that, rushing core is going to be split. I really hope that Dobbins gets more snaps, because right now he is split with Gus Edwards. So I think that he deserves the majority of those snaps. But, I mean, looking at Joe Alt, I think that this is going under the radar a lot. Joe Alt is the lineman that the Chargers drafted, obviously, and he lined up against Max Crosby a decent amount of times. But what I want to focus on, he allowed no pressures against Max Crosby, one of the premier NFL rushers. No pressures. I mean, that is an unbelievable, especially for a 6'8" lineman. If you look at his film, he's getting really low. He's able to drive Max Crosby, either way, like kind of driving him like a car. And I just, I love Joe Alt. I think he's going to be really good a really good prospect for the Chargers, and I think he's going to be a very good long-term piece. So look at them boys versus the Browns. I mean, look, the Cowboys, Dak Prescott obviously got that extension right before the game. A little bit of an overpay, in my opinion. If you guys saw my short, I did say that I think that they should have drafted Shedeur Sanders and got rid of Dak Prescott, just because I think that they need like some youngins in there. They need some revitalization. But looking at the Browns, Deshaun Watson, I mean, what are we doing, right? He got sued again. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'm pretty sure you guys did. And I'm not sure if the NFL is doing anything to like not let him play. But Deshaun Watson just looks like an absolute shell of himself. He looks like one of the top 3 worst quarterbacks. I think that Daniel Jones is worse, and probably I'd put Bo Nix in there as well. I think that, I'd rather have Deshaun than Daniel Jones and Bo Nix. But other than that, just absolutely horrendous. He's got, good weapons with Amari Cooper, David Njoku, who obviously got hurt. And, it's really concerning for the Browns with Deshaun Watson. You obviously got fleeced by the Texans. Go Texans. Man, I absolutely love Baker Mayfield. Baker Money is, in my opinion, what Johnny Football was supposed to be in the NFL. He is just like that quarterback, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just gets the crowd hype. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the video where he like gets rushed and then like some dude gets a late hit on him and then he like stands up, like looks like he's about to get mad, but instead he just gets hype, and it's just so, I just love Baker Money. He's just he's so exciting to watch. But anyway, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, great game for Baker Money. Commanders, Jayden Daniels, we knew he was going to rush the ball a lot. Only 184 passing yards, but 88 rushes for 2 touchdowns. This is what we expected, kind of. Obviously with LSU, he had Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors, so he was hucking that ball downfield, which I think that he's going to do a little bit more with Terry McLaurin. I think that McLaurin's role is going to get better. But, I mean, pretty solid game overall for Jayden Daniels, and I'm excited to see what the Commanders do with him going forward. All right, going on to our last game here, we had a thriller with the Rams versus the Lions, and I am actually so excited to say that Cooper Kupp is back. He is undoubtedly the wide receiver 1 for the Rams, especially after Puka Nacua went out. And look, the Lions, it's so tough with their running back core of Montgomery and Gibbs, because they're both so good, but they both deserve to get like 100% of the snaps in this offense. But anyway, going on to like Amon St. Brown, I think he's going to be fine. Only 1 reception, I believe, but he's still going to be a very good player, and I wouldn't be too worried about it. Jameson Williams, great game. Sam Laporta, But, I mean, just going back to the Rams, I really think that Stafford and Kupp, that connection's just going to be there the whole year as long as Kupp stays healthy. Kyren Williams looked okay. I think that he could have been a lot better. He did have a touchdown, which was really just because of a pass interference that was called in the end zone. I did play Kyren Williams in fantasy. That's why I'm so, a little bit negative right now. But overall, I do think that, both teams, I think they're going to be playoff teams. I like the Rams this year. I like the Lions this year. And I think that, they're going to be very interesting to watch for the rest of the season. All right, wow, we got through that in, let's see here, 20 minutes. I think this video is probably going to be a little shorter because I did kind of yap. This is probably going to be more like 18 minutes. So, I mean, 18 minutes going through every game, I think that was pretty good. I'm going to try to keep on doing this. Uploads every Saturday and either Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday. You'll get the Sunday videos out as soon as possible, but definitely Thursday night games coming Saturday, and probably some predictions as well. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys do, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe for more videos, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.